Well, hello. How is everybody?
Hello, hello, you beautiful people out there on the interwebs.
So we are working on Darth Doom Pool again, and today I'm going to be working on the skirt. But I was looking online, and I found that the skirt is actually a full outfit piece. So you can see in this picture here, it goes from his down at his legs there up, has kind of a U cut at the waist, and then has a long sleeve shirt. I saw that, and then I was like, well, I got with this vest thing that I'm going to be wearing that kind of drapes already down low. I think what I might do with this, there it goes, that way. What I might do with this, just stitch that to it right here, and then cut off this excess. This is the armhole, and then up here's the hood. But making this essentially into the top half of that like tunic section there. So we got fabric. I decided to go with this lovely black satin for the inside, and we are still going with this nice faux leather, black faux leather with red diamond stitch on it. It has a really cool pattern to it. The first thing is we need to make a pattern. And I was doing some measurements just a minute ago here. And the the section for my waist needs to be 36, and the height I'm gonna go with 35 because that's what I figured my paper out to be, and I can kind of play with that number. So the paper is 35 and a little bit. So what we are going to end up losing here is there's going to be an inch for stitching, 3 inches for the inside part of the belt, and then the rest will be the actual length of it. So first thing first is we need to measure out 3 foot of this paper.
While you're doing that, can you explain what exactly you're making for the people who missed last week's show?
As I said before, we're continuing on Darth Doom Pool. So this is a combination of a Sith Lord, henceforth the Star Wars that we're adding here, Deadpool, and Dr. Doom. So I have my Doom mask already made up. This is all 3D print and PLA, and then hand painted on top of it. And now currently we are working on what will eventually be the second layer of clothes, because I'm going to have pants on, I'm going to have a long sleeve shirt of some sort on, and I'm going to have my gloves on, and then this skirt vest thing will go on with the belt inside of it, and then I will put on the bandolier, and then from there I'll put on the cape that if we get this done, we will be working on that next week. I do have that as well. I got in some chain, some clasp for it, and really nice red fabric. It's all shiny because it's in a plastic bag.
Ooh, plastic.
The vein of the distance. What you should do first here is square this. So to square this off, because I only have a straight edge, what I'm going to do is I have a small square, and you take your small square and you put the small side against your roller and your long side right down the edge of your paper or your wood or whatever you're working on. You turn your straight edge into a square. Alrighty. What I'll do is I'll get the square in place. It is a very finicky process. Or it can be. Put that square in place, and then I'll just, while holding it down fairly firmly, slide the ruler right up tight to it, and boom, that ruler is squared. You can slide that away as long as I don't move this. Stripe this right along here, and now I have a straight edge to work from. That's square to this edge. And you can double check it by coming to the opposite end down here. You put the square to the paper, and it should slide right back a little and be square with your line. And I am within 30 seconds, which is unrecognizable. So that is good enough for me. You can cut this at this point. I just might actually do with this knife. Or you can also just lay out off of the line. But by cutting this, I'm essentially, I can call this my waistline. And if it doesn't come away at first, find your groove. You can use a lot of stuff to template. I like this brown paper. The roll was super cheap. I've had it forever. It works. Anyone that's seen us when we were at the last Sinister? I think that was last Sinister was the one where we did the cryptics, or no, the Sinister before last June.
Yeah. Cryptics was June. The last one was Nightmare.
Yeah. So the cryptics, that big tall costume I was wearing, matter of fact, the pattern is actually floating around over yonder over here. So this right here is my pattern for that big tall cryptics gown. The Jawas got patterned in that. What is this one's pattern for? I'm not even. Oh, that's part of Reptar. There's a Reptar pattern. Patterns all kinds of stuff in this stuff. It works great for me. You can also use tissue paper, or not tissue paper. The one that you bake with.
Parchment paper.
Yeah, parchment paper. Or as we heard last week, you can, or not last week, Monday, you can also use freezer paper. Because most of the things, if you're watching our new show on Monday, most of the things she taught us, a lot of those just apply across sewing. So, and if you did not watch it, please go back and watch it. There's also a list of materials, and you can take the skills that she's told you about there and apply them using the materials list, and you can make your own puppet. We do not quite yet know for next week or week after next who we're having, but hopefully we can get it straightened out before next Wednesday. So that show is going to be a bi-weekly show. We have a thing we do with some of the folks from Distance Nerding and Stack Pool where we all have a game night. So that show will be bi-weekly. So every other week you'll get another how did you do that? But the other weeks are our fun days with our friends.
So we're still doing nerdy shit, just not online.
Yeah. That's the day we all rest.
We're supposed to be resting?
On game nights?
Yeah.
I mean, you kind of are. This means you're not working.
Yeah.
Or not
I mean,
working.
I try not to do stuff.
With our friend. Okay. Now, what do I want to use for a radius? So, what I like to use for radiuses is I'll find cans or bottles or all kinds of different things that, as long as it's brown. Ooh, this will actually work really well for this particular radius I need to get. I have a styrofoam dome.
Ooh, where'd you get the styrofoam dome?
The styrofoam dome was in this box of junk I need to put away. But originally, I think it came from Joann's. You can get them at any craft store. I do not remember why I even bought it. I think it was
Reptar?
Something else. No, it was after Reptar. I think it was to mold something, and I never did it. There's something I needed to make like a ball or a dome or something for, and I never did it. And I was gonna like basically cast this and make it out of fiberglass. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it'll come back around.
Oh yeah.
You do have to be careful if you're using styrofoam for casting stuff, because if it gets hot, it might melt. Also, spray paint melts it. So anything in an aerosol can is a no-no. Big no-no. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind whenever you're patterning and sewing. A set of scissors that are your general purpose scissors. Have a different set of scissors that are your fabric scissors. These are my fabric scissors, and then I have these little snippy bit ones too. This guy over here is my general purpose scissor. I have had these since junior high. They are old. The reason for that is you don't want to dull these on dumb stuff like paper, because paper will dull the heck out of your blades. So these ones have gone through plastic, paper, fiberglass, all kinds of crazy nonsense. They are actually fairly good pliers or scissors, so they've held up really well. There's no chinks or anything in them I can see here, so they've actually held up pretty well. They even still have a fairly tight cut. These over here are actually about due for a replacement. I can see daylight through them. Because they got bowed a little bit when I was working on a project that had a lot of glue on sewing.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was making those blankets for the Sack Geek fundraiser.
Yeah. So this pair actually is about due to get replaced. Because they're tight, and then right about there they start separating, and I think the top one needs to get bowed out a little. That one does too. That's about 80% better. So what I did there is I just took it to the edge of my table and I set the blade the way it needed to bend on the tip and just lightly push down with my hand. But anyways, have pair of fabric scissors that you only use on fabric, and then have a separate scissors that you use for paper nonsense. That's my original point there before I got lost in the fact that those are bowed and I need to replace them. But paper is by far one of the worst things you can cut with scissors. It's no good for scissors. That's why anyone that's ever bought one of those paper cutter, like envelope opening looking things for Christmas wrap, they only last a couple of years and then they're kind of junky. Because it's just a blade and it's always used on paper, which is very harsh to a blade. It essentially sands off the edge of the blade. Okay, we have a pattern. And that is why I like that brown paper. I told you all the things I've done with it, and it's still massive. It was only like a little bit bigger than that originally. It probably lost, I don't know, about that much thickness. It's like maybe a quarter of an inch paper I've used. And I've used it for all kinds of dumb stuff. It also works really good if you have, especially if you have like kids. Put it down below them when they're painting so they don't get it on your floor. You can use it on the table so that overspill doesn't go on the table. You can use it when you're painting if you just want to like quick pull out things or rattle can stuff and you don't want to get overspray onto your table. It's a very versatile, very useful thing. One of the best materials to use for paper mache. I love brown paper for paper mache. Because when it hardens, it gets hard. It is strong. Because it is so fibrous. It is. So if you layer stuff for a paper mache, which is like different angles and overlaps and stuff like that, you will end up with a very strong piece if you're using brown paper, and that includes the paper bags you get from the grocery store nowadays. So we have our pattern now. Probably test this around myself real quick. Get behind me. You're getting in the way. This is going to be 2 inches wider than when done. So we'll go like that, which is fine with me. I actually might false in a little bit there. Yeah, I might false in just a hair. Oh wait, that's why. I did this wrong. It's supposed to be another inch, so all the way around, and that will work out. So falsing in an inch is basically you eyeball from the edge of your piece, your pattern. You can eyeball in another inch of material to the outside here. Depending on how good you are at eyeballing, on how well that's going to work out for you. But I'm pretty good at that. So I will just end up eyeballing about, because the inch is about 2 finger width for me. I will literally just end up eyeballing that out all the way around. So, next thing, get that roller out the way, is we need to get some fabric under this. I think I should. So one thing to keep in mind when you're doing fabric is some fabrics have a direction they need to go. And some fabrics you can just use any direction. This would be a fabric I wouldn't worry too much about what direction, but the fabric that will work any direction. There's no, like the Minky that we were looking at for the puppets the other day. This stuff, if you rub it a different way, you get a whole nother effect to it. Same with going sideways, you're going to get 2 different effects. So what you need to find is what direction do you want your nap to go with if you're using something like this. So like when we do the cape, which this is that red velvet's going to be a big part of, it has the nap. And it will be the same thing, just like this Minky, where I want that to be the bottom over here. That way things run down and it stays smooth. Also, the other way you could have a directional fabric is something like what we are working with here, which is this diamond pattern. So this stuff, I'm putting it this way. So this will be top to bottom like this. Top to bottom like this direction. Depending on what you're doing, if you're doing like say a car seat, maybe you'd want it to go this way. Knowing the pattern and where you're putting it and what you're using it for will definitely give you different effects. Because if you're using this as a cushion and you want the cushion to look wide and inviting, you'd want it to go across the cushion this way. But if you want it to look deep, you want it to go this way. So like a car upholstery, you'd probably go this way. Because you're trying to make it look streamlined and flow. But something like a bench, if you're making a cushion for a bench, you might want to go this way on it so that it looks more wide. That makes sense.
I think James just got in, so he's calling you a goth trooper.
I mean, it's better than emo Kylo Bryn. At least people like goth.
What about the people who like goth and emo?
I mean, they're not goth and emo. It actually might freeze better than I was thinking it was going to. So, always mark your patterns out on the back side of the fabric. The reason for this is that your pencil being on the back here doesn't matter. The pencil on the front is ugly. So I will get my stick pins down.
Stick pins.
And because I want the edge of this to line up that diamond, so that way that diamond just about. So we'll even those out, and there we go. That way, also, something like a leather, some leathers, the hole doesn't close. So like this stuff, I'm not actually going through the whole fabric. Turn over here a little. I'm just going into this white padding on the back, and then I'm coming back out of the white fabric. So I'm not actually going through the leather, but this will still hold it down. 3/4 inch. I can go up a bit. There. Reason being is so I could get that inch profile on the bottom there. So I had to move away from this edge so that I can get enough room down here that when I go to cut my about extra inch that I'm going to get this, I'm not off the sheet. Now we just pin.
Because you need to have allowance because you're going to sew it later, right?
I'm doing it, well, that, and then I also turned the paper the wrong way when I was cutting my pattern, so I'm going to give myself a little bit more tolerance. This is a very free-forming thing, so I have room, so if I make it a little too big, it's not going to hurt anything. So I'd rather be a little bit too big, and I can actually fit it properly, especially seeing I am using so much material up for the belt area. So this whole pattern is losing 3.5 inches behind itself at the top. Or no, 4 inches at the top. Because it's going to have a 1 inch folded upward and then 3 inches folded over that. So and then and that's just so that the fit. So, and then later on, I am going to actually, there's going to be a spot over about here on the top side though, where I'm going to just cut a little rectangle out. And that's going to be bumming around so that I can put another band in. I'm going to just make a little hoop of this black vinyl leather stuff, and it's going to be fit just like a hoop so that I can fit it around my belt through it, and then it's to keep the bandolier in place on my hip. You can, on a big straight section like this, you get away with not that many pins. When you hit something like these corners, you want more. just because this is a pretty easy fabric to work with. It's not going to want to stretch. I've not looked at the other fabric too close. Let's see. This one, it's satin, so it shouldn't be that stretchy. So let's get a nice thin area. Yeah, that's not very stretchy. So with this not being stretchy and this not being stretchy, this will be fairly easy to sew. But it would not be great for like shirt material because things that don't stretch are going to bunch on your body when you move. This being a big drapey frilly thing on my body doesn't matter. But this stuff actually has a little bit of stretch to it. If you sew something like this to stretchy isn't horrible because they tend to stretch together. But stretchy to non-stretchy, is a pain. Because stretchy to non-stretchy, the stretchy one wants to stretch, the non-stretchy one stays still, and then what tends to happen if you don't have enough pins in it is your stretchy one will end up a little bit too long at the end of the stitch run because it's stretched out and over the 3 feet of fabric that you sewed down, it's stretched, say, 1/8 of an inch every foot. And now you just gain 3/8 of an inch at the end. And that's more than 1/4 inch. That's a lot of fabric. And you have to figure that out. Plus, you also lost whatever flex you had in that fabric. A lot of it. Sorry about the buzzy noise. Her headphones having issues.
I can't hear the buzz.
Because you can't hear you. Because that's how software works.
Okay, well, guys, if you want to help us get better headphones, donate to the Long Fam Cosplay. Just hit me up on Instagram for the Venmo account. How many pins do you think you're going to need there?
All of them. They get really tight in here, and then they'll get spaced out as they go up here, and they'll be really tight over here, and then get spaced out as they go up there. So these corners, we're going to use a buttload of them. Once I get into the straights, it won't be as bad. I also have a bunch of clips that I can use in the straights for actual sewing purposes, because I don't personally, when I'm sewing, I only pin where I need to, and I clip the rest. So, like big straight sections, especially something like this, I'll probably clip the majority of the straight sections here and just pin these corners. I'll just pin the living crap out of these 2 corners here, maybe this straight section here, and then flip everything up. So. But when I do this tediousness that is pinning, we can always go look at what's coming up.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. So, guys, this coming weekend, there is Anime Wave in Fresno, California. We're going to have cosplay, of course, karaoke. There's going to be live panels, games, shopping, which means awesome vendors, photo opportunities. It's going to be 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, January 17th and 18th at the Fresno Fairgrounds. If you're wanting to go down there or in the area, please stop by. And I know Grumpy Cookies is going to be there, and our good friend Frisco of Sat Geeks will be there representing the organization too. So if you see him and Frank, don't bother. Go ahead, go up to him, say hey, ask if you can pet Frank because he may be working, he may not be. Always ask before petting an animal. And then after that, coming up the following weekend, Sat Geeks does have their biannual market at Lucid Winery, and this month's theme is New Year Creators Fair. They're going to have a lot of new vendors there. I do believe we have a few VIP tickets left. So if you go ahead and scan the QR code, you can get the VIP tickets. It'll get you a free drink ticket, access to the mini workshops, and a really cool gift bag. I'm not sure what's going to be in there because we're always getting donated all kinds of different stuff. But if you get a gift bag, let me know what's in it because I won't be there. And the reason why I won't be there is because I will be on my way to Pasadena for Pasadena Comic-Con. That's right. Sad Geeks will be in 2 places in 1 weekend. Here locally, and then traveling over to Pasadena and hanging out, helping run the panels. We're going to have our own table there. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be my first time there. The fam's staying back behind. So it's just going to be me and other members of Sat Geeks traveling down there. And there's a lot of Power Ranger actors there. So I'm really excited to go. And obviously, when I heard how many Power Ranger people are going to be there, Bex was like, "You want to go?" So, of course, I'm going to go. Holy moly echo. Okay, I don't know if I can fix it. I apologize. I don't know if it's just because it's just the settings or what. Oh, just coming in to help.
Keep going.
So, yeah, very excited to go to Pasadena. It'll be the first faraway trip without the family. I'm sure they'll survive without me for a day or two. Hopefully that works too, Say Wong. Just let us know. And that's going to be that weekend. We're going to close out the month. Oh, let's see. Nope, too soon. We're going to close out the month of January with VerseCon in Sacramento at the Scottish Rite Center, January 31st and February 1st. It's Dragon Ball themed. We're going to have a lot of different Dragon Ball voice actors there. We're going to have the cosplay contest hosted by Sat Geeks, ran by me via Sat Geeks. It's going to be a lot of fun. I am getting all kinds of stuff together for the contest with the prizes. I have our friend Boygans is going to be the MC, and we're going to have judges from 2 groups, the Cosplay Dropouts and Team Inferno. So it's going to be a great show. If you guys are interested in coming and want to sign up for the cosplay contest, go over to the Sat Geeks table where we will have the sign-ups. And also, guys, we're on the road to 200 subscribers. So if you know someone who has not subscribed to us yet, pull the distance learning, get their phone, subscribe to them, and when we hit that 200, we will go live and give away stuff. You know we like to give away stuff. We're constantly giving away stuff because we want you guys to subscribe. We want you guys to watch. We want your attention. We want your attention.
And we have not forgot about you, Cam.
No.
We are still working on it.
Yes, Cam, if you're watching this after it's live, we are working on it. We want to give you the best of the best. So that way you can have that awesome hoodie that you won last night. And I think that does it for what's going on this month. Let me see, was there anything else to add? Checking my notes.
There will be one more of our other show. So not just coming Monday, but the Monday after. There will be another How Did You Do That? So do watch out for that. Next week we will be working on Doom again. I think I'm gonna probably pause this after that and work on something else. I'm thinking maybe double back and do a little bit of gore with the action ash mashup. Maybe make my work on my EV form, because we still have to make and split EV's big wide open. So, and I still have that chainsaw right up there. So chainsaw's right here. We still have to make the EV that goes on it. And I'm thinking this week and next week we are definitely doing Doom stuff, but possibly for close out the month, I'm thinking we work on making a nice gory EV.
Huh. Technically, our last show of the month lands on Tater's birthday.
Oh, cool. Maybe we'll bring in the Bob and rebuild the Bob. I know the Bob has had problems, and we need to get the Bob ready for the season.
Oh yeah, we need to get him some upgrades and some other stuff.
So maybe if he doesn't have other plans, maybe we'll get the Bob in here and on his birthday, and he can try not to stab myself.
We'll have a special guest.
Yeah. Ow. So focused on not stabbing myself with one needle, I stabbed myself with a different one.
Either way, you got stabbed.
See what I'm doing a little bit. I will go. So I'm going fairly wide up here. So what I do is I'll stick the needle in and down into the fabric. So it goes down into the fabric, and then I'll take my thumbnail and I'll push down on the paper and the fabric on the other side, and then push down on the tack so that it sits flat across like that. And then I dimple it down with my hand over here so that it will come out into the paper, so that we aren't damaging our fake leather on the other side. We only need a couple more tacks, our pins here, and then we can start doodling. The pin down in there, push pin flat, push fabric inward. That came out there. And the reason I push with my thumb, because it puts my fingernail towards it, and I'm less likely to hurt myself if I stab my fingernail with the needle than if I put my finger towards it. It will go right into my finger without hesitation. Yeah, there we go. Sweet. And that is pinned. Okay. So I have a little magnet on the back of mine. So let's actually talk about this real quick. When I made this, you don't have to go out and buy anything. This is literally a drop of foam that I got from packaging. There's actually kind of see the split right there where something was casted into, cut out of it, so So you get like electronics and stuff, and they'll be shoved into that soft foam. That's all this is. And then I stuck a magnet inside, and then I took some fabric, and I just sewed a pouch around it real quick. This is actually a leg off of a pair of pantyhose that I just sewed up the ends with some green and orange fabric or thread when I was working on Reptar. So you don't have to go out and buy yourself one, and I like this one because I have a magnet, and if you have anything metal around you, you can literally just clink it off to something metal. So if I want, I can just like reach up and stick it to a tool in the back wall over here. Or where it normally lives is I have a magnet rail like you use for chef knives up there, and I just stick it to that. Okay, and now Sharpie time. Careful what you mark on your fabrics with. This one I'm not worried about bleed through because it's not going to. But like that's the next fabric we have to work with. That one, I actually am somewhat worried about bleed through.
Which fabric?
So the satin. I will also be worried about bleed through with the felt, or felt, not letting go of what you mark it with. Cottons tend to suck it all the way through to the other side if you use inks. So you gotta be really careful with that. So if you look here, I have two fingers there, and I have the marker up against my finger. I'm using the other finger right up against the guide, or right against the mold pattern, because that will give me a nice consistent gapping. And I can do the same thing here, like so. Do be careful you don't get paper cut. That is a possibility when you're doing this. I like to drag nail side down. I find I get a more consistent edge. And now I can pull back a little bit. Up on the table. Another reason you mark on the back side is because if you get off a little and it's on the back side of your fabric, you can correct it and nobody's going to see it. But if you get off on it and it's on the front side of your fabric, at times. Also, you'll see that I'm pulling some of these needles back a little bit because they're overhanging off the edge. And if I drag my finger there, I get stabbed. And I don't want to get stabbed again. That hurts. Also, it will cause your fingers to kind of jiggle. And that will give you an inconsistent pattern. And you can tell about how consistent this is because this line came up and fed right into that line without hesitation. Where anyone that's tried to freehand draw something knows trying to get two lines to meet each other in the same spot coming from different directions is a utter nightmare. The reason I am doing this fabric first, therefore this fabric is will work as a finished pattern for the other one. So once I cut this out now, first we'll pull all these pins and then we'll cut this out. So I'll cut this piece out and I will literally do this exact same process minus the finger gaps on stuff. There we are. So I'll do the same process minus the 2 finger gap and I'll just trace this onto the other fabric and I will have my base piece. So now that I've made this piece, I can basically use it to transfer the shape and size I want to the other piece. Even though the other piece doesn't technically need to be quite as big, I could actually use this paper for how I'm doing this. I could use, actually, probably should use this paper to make it a little bit smaller so that it fits height of it, because this 1 inch is all going to get folded over on top of this, because I'm going to end up folding this over and then over again like that and then sewing it so that I have this nice rounded edge on this corner. Your camera fall over, and a nice rounded edge down here all the way around, and then I'll also have this cool triangle pattern around it too, but it will give it a nice soft edge all the way around.
Yeah, my camera fell over. I bumped it.
So it'll be like that and like that. So you'll have about that much overlapping onto the other piece, and it'll look great. So I'll get careful with these needles; they are sharp. I will get this all cut out before you guys see it next week, and we can do some sewing machine, and maybe even if we get enough people here, get a Mad Lib or something off. I don't think we've done Anime Expo yet.
No, I want to say that's one of the ones in San Francisco. That's probably why, because you don't go to San Francisco.
Yeah. Well, it all depends on vehicles and what lines up with what, and if we're already dedicated somewhere. It is a whole puzzle of a game.
True, but we normally don't have anything around the 4th of July, typically.
Yeah.
Like, as it stands right now, we don't really have anything then. Then again, we normally don't really want to go anywhere because it's 4th of July.
Yeah. Wow. But Maybe. Depends on how vehicles run and other things as well, and finances, and because we do not get into all shows free. Not yet. I haven't got that big yet.
Yeah, not all of our connections get us everywhere, but we do appreciate the connections we do have and love that for that. Well, not just for that, but it's an added thing of like, that's cool. We can do that.
Yeah, it does help having connections get in places. But another thing that would help us get in places would be to have more subscribers, and you guys can help with that if you help us get to 200. And then we can hit the next. Then we can set a new bar and we'll aim for a new goal and get even more prizes.
Yeah. So, guys, remember, hit the subscribe if you have not subscribed yet. Tell your friends to subscribe.
Heck, like it.
Yeah,
Just
hit
liking
the
the
thumbs
post
up.
will put it out there more, and then more people will see it and they can subscribe.
Yeah, that's why I hope.
Share it if you can share it. That will help us get more people, and then and you all win because y'all get prizes. And we have some cool stuff back here.
Yeah, we have lots of cool stuff.
Better than that.
Too much cool stuff.
The heck's inside there? Yeah, yeah, that's enough stuff. I mean, that's right. If you, we got a Leoplerodon.
It's a Leoplerodon, Charlie.
We got Unihorse from Blue, and he has a dice tower, and he's also glow in the dark. He has a lob, and he actually glows really cool. And then I turn off that poop.
Ooh,
Think
got
my
dark.
screen still may be too bright, but you
Yeah,
can
it's still quite a bit like.
start to see his
It
glow a little bit there. But
he
does glow in the dark. Promise he does glow in the dark. I see it all the time. And then we got a couple comic books here. And then we got, for Witcher fans, we got a nice big figure here for you. And we're going to raffle it all off when we hit 200. So, I mean, we got comics, we got Witcher, we got 3D prints, and there's more that have freaking Imperial Walkers, and I'm trying to get work in some rain, or what are those things called? They're not raincore. Yeah, raincores. We're gonna work in a raincore in there, make it really cool. So I got lots of things. We got lots of prizes for you. Okay. So definitely do that. And with that being said, we are at the
We're at the end of the road.
So, definitely, guys, please do all the things. You know the things. And be a maker, not a hater. See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.